Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Metcalf and I watch the film so you don't have to. On this video, we're taking a look at Bennett Stirtz from Iowa, who just set his career high in scoring against Oregon with 32 points on 12 of 15 shooting, 4 of 6 from 3. On top of that, he added 7 assists with 0 turnovers. This is the version of Bennett Stirtz that we hoped we would see all year. The guy that was a monster at Drake all last season, and the guy that was garnering some top 10 lottery buzz coming into the year. Now, he hasn't looked like this all year, but hopefully, this is a real turning point. We've gotten flashes of this, but this was his most complete, most dominant game of the season. Let's take a look at the film, see how Sturtz was lethal from behind the arc, was surgical with his passing, and totally carved up Oregon's defense with his off ball movement and cutting. Welcome to film school. Let's dive in. So I think the best place to start in this game with Sturtz is the outside shooting, 4 of 6 on the game, and we know he's an awesome shooter. The percentage is nearly identical to what it was last year, with even higher volume. He's now up over 10 attempts per 100. He is at about 7.5 per 100 last year. So seeing that volume increase dramatically without really any notable fall off in the percentage is really crucial. And we see how effortlessly he gets into these shots. Now, this was his first one of the game. We're about 8 minutes in, and he does an awesome job of just setting up his defender, a little hang dribble, attacks middle, gets the defender leaning, and once he notices the defender start to turn his hips and cross his feet, he does such a good job of just slamming on the brakes, going behind his back, showing off the handle, stepping back another step to create more space. Why he doesn't just let this fly, I don't know. He creates a ton of room here. That's gorgeous. I get there's a late contest here, but you kind of just have to let it fly. Instead, he opts for the tougher step through. It's almost like he's trying to draw a foul here. You don't love it, but he adjusts mid shot, little step through off balance. He's basically taking a runner from behind the arc and then shows off his scoring touch by just dropping it in, nothing but net. Let it fly right away, Bennett, but it's tough to complain with that. On this one, goes to work in ISO again, gets walled off on the drive, and this is something that's been an issue for Sturtz all year, going back to the start of conference play and even before that, where he has struggled to get all the way to the rim. We'll go into more depth in that with that in a couple clips later. But defender does a really good job here of walling it off, and even though Sturtz has struggled to get to the rim, he never panics. It's never pick up his dribble and now throw up a bad shot or get sloppy with this ball security. It's all right, get off the ball, go get it back, and immediately flow into something else. There's no hesitation. There's no, oh crap, I'm stuck. Whenever this happens, it's all right, let's find a counter. And he does, kicks it back out, runs off the screen, and just little hang dribble hesitation into the pull up. So as he comes off this handoff, clock's starting to run a little low, but he recognizes the defense switches, defenders giving him a little bit of space, little hang, jab step, and that's enough space. That's all he needs because he's got a gorgeous shooting stroke, late contest, pretty decent defense, but you can't be giving Sturtz that big of a window. And it just begs the question again. Bennett, on that last one, just let it fly. You created the space on the step back. Let it fly. Here, top of the arc again, where he lives and thrives. And it's just really effortless and explosive in short areas because he does such a good job of changing pace, going from zero to fifth, or going from first gear to fifth gear, and then slamming on the brakes. He does a really good job of elongating his strides too on these step backs because it really sells to defenders that he's going downhill. And as it really extends out with that left leg, he gets so low here, it sends the defender back because now he's reeling. He's like, all right, I got to cut off this drive. And instead of driving all the way, because Sturtz knows that he can't get to the rim, the defender's sagging off too much. He's got a good angle to cut off that drive. There's aggressive gap help here. So there's nothing here for Sturtz to attack. into. So instead, he shows off his balance, shows off his lower body strength, plants that left foot, explodes back. Great footwork, tremendous balance all the way through to get that low and then jump back and immediately be shot ready and get into it. That's really, really pure. Here, high pick and roll, similar thing. Nothing crazy, just gets the switch and takes advantage of the new defensive assignment. Little hesitation, gets the. So as he comes off that screen, little hesitation gets the switch defender to lunge out a little bit. And now that Stirtz has his momentum, has the defender's momentum going away from the rim, now he attacks downhill, or at least fakes like he is. And again, really extends with that inside foot, plants it hard, sends the defender's momentum back the other way. Really good job of just toying with the defender, keeping him off balance while always staying on balance. So Stirtz is constantly toying with his defenders, but he knows what he's doing, and he's almost never off balance himself. So as he plants that right foot, again, gets really low, which allows him to really propel himself backwards. Great footwork, great balance, creates a ton of space, and is able to knock down that jumper yet again. So throughout this game, we saw Sturtz's effectiveness at creating these step backs, generating legitimate space on the perimeter for these pull-up three-point attempts. And throughout all of those, he's constantly showcasing his footwork, his balance, his lower body strength, and his recognition of where defenders' momentum is going and how best to toy with it. Now, Sturtz's outside shooting is one of the biggest selling points in his game. But throughout this Oregon game, he continued to show that he's so much more as a scorer than just an on-ball pull-up guy from the perimeter who can never get to the rim. In this game, he went 8 of 9 from 2, drew 4 fouls, went 4 of 4 from the line. And these buckets and this versatility is a big reason why, even though I think he's struggled a lot at times this year, I'm really optimistic about his translation to the NBA because of this scoring versatility and his ability to play on or off ball. And once he's in an NBA system where he's surrounded by NBA spacing and NBA shooters and playing with other guys who can consistently create on the ball and draw some of that attention away from him, he is going to be able to find a lot of different ways to execute, to score, other than just pulling up from outside. So let's run through a couple of these. So a little horn set right off the bat. And Fulgaris, if you haven't watched this game, this was the best game of his season so far. He was really, really good. But Sturtz runs off this back screen or cross screen and really good pass. Sturtz does a nice job of recognizing that as he comes off that screen, Kwame Evans is sticking to the corner shooter. No one's guarding the rim. So he bolts. Fulgaris delivers a beautiful pass exactly where it needs to be, where only Sturtz can get it. He catches it in stride, finishes it midair for the 2 points. Here we see him off ball, and that shooting success that Sturtz had, especially in the first half, started to draw more and more aggressive ball denial defense from these off-ball defenders. So Sturtz carved them up with back cuts and really leveraging his shooting gravity to create easy buckets at the rim. Here we see exactly that. So as Isaiah Howard dribbles towards him, instead of going for the handoff, Sturtz recognizes his defender is way overplaying this passing lane, that no one is over here in the empty corner. He back cuts. Fulgaris gets a nice seal after he dove to the rim, and Sturtz beats everyone to the rim, finishes with the layup. Little pick and roll action. Beautiful pocket pass, but then he stays engaged. So even though he's not directly getting the ball, the ability to improvise and adjust and stay engaged in the play with his off-ball movement is really crucial, because out of the pick and roll, nice pocket pass in a spot where only his teammate can get it. But now on the catch, his teammate's kind of stuck in no man's land. He doesn't have anywhere to go. The clock's running out, but Sturtz does a great job of recognizing, okay, ball handler's pulling his defender away from the rim. Fulgaris is relocating out to the top of the arc, so Kwame Evans is going to go with him, and Sturtz sees that his defender is ball watching. So instead of staying on the perimeter, instead of ball watching, instead of just assuming something's going to happen, he's proactive, cuts back door. His defender has no idea where he is. He makes himself available on the catch, does a nice job of feeling the rotation from the corner defender, and then protecting the ball with his body, shows a little bit of craft in holding off the defender, using the rim for protection as well, and then finishes on the other side. So I really love just the constant engagement and then playing 4 steps ahead of everyone and recognizing where defenders are moving based on the situation. Really similar thing here. So this is almost the exact same look. They're running a high pick and roll, but this time as Sturtz comes off the screen, that pocket pass isn't really there because Kwame Evans is sitting in that passing lane a little more, so Sturtz doesn't force it. Instead of trying to do that, he sees that Evans is kind of basically just giving him the driving lane. He knows strong side corner defender isn't going to help off corner shooter, and then that Fulgaris is getting a really good post seal here as well. So there's a massive driving lane for Sturtz to attack down into, and when he does get a straight line, he's got good foot speed. He's pretty quick and can get downhill, does a good job of beating everyone to the spot and capitalizing on the defensive miscue. Side pick and roll, empty corner, drop defender can't really commit, and Sturtz tries to get downhill, but he can't. Again, walled off. When defenders are able to get through screens and stay attached, Sturtz is a little less direct with this drive than the previous one. The previous one, he saw it and went. On this one, little bit of a hesitation allows his defender to just recover that half step, which is enough for him to do a really good job of walling off the drive. But instead of panicking, instead of just fumbling the ball away, he almost does. Defender does a good job of I think he gets his wrists there, but no whistle, no foul. We play on. And Sturtz does a really good job of just battling, showing his physicality, showing his toughness. And that's something that he's gotten so much better at as conference play has continued to develop and to progress. A month ago, he's probably turning this ball over, but instead he sticks with it, does a nice job of fighting through. Probably could have been a jump ball, but I like the no whistle, rips it back through, and then stays with it, recognizes that, oh, all of a sudden he has a wide open layup, nice little extension finish through the contact. Not the sexiest thing ever, but it's effective, and I love the toughness there. Here again, he goes to work in isolation, and this is one of the ones where it's like, all right, this is where it needs to be better, where it needs to improve, because out of just straight isolation, he's not really beating anyone off the bounce. He can't. He's struggling to turn the corner on guys. This has been a common theme all year, especially in straight up isolation, especially when there's aggressive gap help. But there isn't that this time. Defender does a good job of just staying attached, but we're seeing a little bit of counter here from Sturtz with that deceleration step. He gets a pretty clean look, even though defender initially does a nice job of walling him off. His lack of fundamentals here, he doesn't need to turn his hips and chase. He can just be sliding here, and if he does so, Sturtz isn't getting the shot off at all. But instead, since he turns his hips to cross his feet, flip his hips to turn and chase, now his hips are parallel to that baseline. His momentum's going towards the rim. Sturtz recognizes it. He knows that he can't get to the rim, so he does a nice job with that deceleration, plants that left foot really hard. And this is a pretty clean look late in the shot clock for how bad the drive was looking, for how quickly he got walled off. This is a really clean look that he generated. He just doesn't get enough on the floater and can't get it to go. But it's encouraging to see him starting to implement more and more of just simple and replicable counters like this. Then here, a little more back cut action. Beautiful pass. And it's just another example of what Sturtz's shooting gravity creates for him in an off-ball sense, and a good illustration of his awareness, his feel for the game, and his ability to impact the game even when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. So Kwame Evans playing really aggressive ball denial here. Sturtz hits him with a little jab step, gets him leaning a little bit, and now he's gone because he knows that defender is circling out with Isaiah Howard on the back. So the lane's going to be completely empty. He knows that the two rim protectors are out here on the perimeter, so no one's there. Love that jab step, gets Evans leaning just enough, and now it's a touchdown. And it's another gorgeous pass from Fulgaris. Sturtz gets there with ease, easy layup. So the big sales pitch with Bennett Stirtz is the outside shooting and the passing intelligence. But what that outside shooting generates is really aggressive off-ball ball denial defense, and Sturtz is continuing to show us that he's really smart, can set up cuts, can toy with defenders, and really capitalize on any defensive miscues, miscommunications, or just poor positioning, and get to the rim in that off-ball roll to get easy buckets at the rim as well. Now, finally, I just want to take a look at his passing because he's so much fun with his recognition, the accuracy. He just doesn't make mistakes, which is really rare, but really valuable. It wasn't I didn't think anything with his playmaking was like overly manipulative or insanely impressive throughout this game, but it was super reliable. And when we combine it with all of the shooting and scoring clips that we just saw, we can see how he uses all of it to build together and to piece together into being a really dynamic and just a brutal guy to have to defend. So as he comes off this handoff, reuses the screen, flows right into the pick and roll, just toying with his defender. So initially defender goes under, Sturtz goes back to where he came from. Nope, not so fast. Reuses the screen. Now he comes downhill, and once his defender tries to go over the screen, and Sturtz recognizes that Evans is playing at the level, he knows that Fulgaris is going to be open on this roll because the paint is unattended. His defender can't get there, so he does a perfect. It's not a huge window. That's not a massive window at all, but Sturtz's accuracy and just decisiveness with his passing decision allows him to thread that pocket pass through, lead Fulgaris right to the rim for the dunk. This one in transition I love because he's not looking at the left, he's looking over on the right side of the floor, but the second that his eyes shift and he finds his guy, he's not even over half court yet, but he knows there's all this space. His teammate is running full speed towards the rim, and he puts it right on the money. Now, it's a little bit, like if we're going to nitpick, it's a little behind him, and his teammate does a nice job of adjusting midair here to finish the kind of clunky alley-oop, but it's more so just the immediate recognition of, oh, you're open, and now he eyes him, and just that immediate decisiveness of, oh, you're open, I'm going to get it to you, I'm going to lead you exactly where it needs to be, even though you're 30 feet from the end goal here. Let me hit you in stride for an easy 2 points super early in the shot clock. Another pick and roll, just toying with his defenders, running a beautiful two-man game. This is the kind of stuff. It's not the most manipulative necessarily from moving defenders with his eyes and all of that kind of stuff, but showing off the handle, toying with his defenders' momentum, he gets him leaning 8 different directions within this play, and that forces Kwame Evans to stay engaged, to really drop down and cut off this drive. We saw what happened earlier when he didn't do that, and Sturtz just reads, reacts, and takes what the defense gives him. He's got a really good handle. He's super shifty and explosive in tight spaces, and once he recognizes that he now has both defenders committing to him below the free throw line, it's like, all right, cool. I'll just hit a simple behind the back pass to Fulgaris on the pick and pop, wide open 3, and he splashes it. Similar thing here. Now we get downhill, And like that like that scoring clip where he has the deceleration floater, this is a really similar thing, but as he as Sturtz plants that left foot, this time Kwame Evans is on him, and Kwame Evans is a significantly bigger defender than the guy that Sturtz was able to get the floater off. If Sturtz goes up with the floater here, that's probably getting swatted. Now, I need Kwame Evans to start defending with his hands up a little more, but the point stands. Kwame Evans is a big dude. He's probably swatting that floater, even though Sturtz does a good job of decelerating, planting that left foot, generating a little bit of space. It's not enough. So instead of forcing it, Sturtz is just still playing with his head up, reading the floor, recognizing what the situation is. It's like, all right, not enough space, can't get the shot off. What's on the weak side? And oh, look, Isaiah Howard's cutting. Here you go, because all eyes are on Sturtz. As he hits this deceleration, all right, help out of the strong side corner, could have kicked to a Fulgaris. 5 has eyes on Sturtz, 12 has eyes on Sturtz, and no one is paying attention to these weak side guys until it's too late. Howard does a great job making that cut. Sturtz finds him. So even though Sturtz's passing wasn't the most manipulative or flashiest or most prone to the highlights in this game, it was surgical, it was accurate, it was decisive, and it builds so beautifully off of his outside shot creation and what he did as a creator on and off the ball, getting to the rim as well. So where does that leave us with Bennett Stirtz? Because I've been struggling with Sturtz for a lot of this year. I think the bulk of his year, it hasn't been bad by any means, but it hasn't been nearly as good as I had hoped for based on what we saw from him at Drake last year and in the tournament with Drake. He's really struggled to get downhill, to get to the rim, but in this game we saw what, in my opinion, was his most complete and effortless game. It's so impressive how he continues to just effortlessly flow between roles, between decisions. There's no stop, hold, survey, killing ball momentum, killing the offensive flow. There's none of that with him. He is so quick with his decision making and his passing accuracy. He's got a really good handle. He's explosive in tight spaces and really knows how to toy with his defender's momentum. Now, that inability to consistently get to the rim in an on-ball role is going to cap his ceiling. It's just inevitable. But that doesn't mean that he isn't going to be an awesome pro, because the shot is so lethal from outside and he has to create so much for this Iowa team. And he's number one with a bullet on every team's opposing scouting report. So yeah, he's going to face a lot of defensive attention, which is going to make life a lot harder for him. But in this game, we continue to see what it looks like when he's not just the guy, when he's not the sole creator, when he is playing off ball a little more. And that's more reminiscent of what his NBA role is likely to be. So even though there have been some struggles with getting downhill and creating out of isolation and all that kind of stuff and not getting to the line as much as you would hope for a league guard to do, everything about his game screams that he's going to be an awesome complementary point guard at the next level alongside other guys who can create their own shots, who can find him off the ball, and then also benefit from his playmaking, from his floor spacing. Bennett Stirtz's season hasn't been perfect, but this game was about as close as it gets to perfect for him, and just another example of how much better he's going to look with NBA spacing, with NBA shooters in an NBA context.